Hello and welcome to today's Quick Take with CGSP. I'm Antonia Timmerman, the Southeast Asia editor in Jakarta. Today we will discuss Indonesia's plan to downstream quartz sand. And apparently, China is again a willing partner for Indonesia to make this a reality. And you might ask, why quartz sand? Turns out it's a very important raw material for solar panel. So what's happening right now is there is a plan to build one of the world's largest quartz sand processing factories in Indonesia, in the west of Indonesia to be exact, in this island called Rempang. Now, this is the predictable part. Local residents in Rempang are rejecting the plan because they would have to move out their villages to give up their ancestral lands to make space for the factory. There was actually a big protest and a big riot in Rempang in September. And when you see this, it makes you wonder sometimes, why does this keep happening? Is there another way to build our renewable energy without sacrificing the local communities? Can Chinese investments actually help Indonesia to be greener? And perhaps what would be the best practice to improve the quality of Chinese investments in Indonesia, right? So I'm going to talk about this with Indonesia-based journalist Leo Galuh. Leo reports on human rights, economy, the environment, and development issues in Indonesia. You can see his work on Fair Planet, Nikkei, Al Jazeera, and more. Hello, Leo. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Antonia. Thank you for inviting me with this conversation. I'm happy to talk about behind the scene and also some key takeaways what we learned from the previous coverage about the Rempang Island.
Thank you so much. Leo, you actually went to Rempang to do in-depth reporting for us on quartz sand. And you went there, you see the sand, and you talk to the residents, you talk to the government even. So can you tell us, when you went there, are the people still angry? And who are they blaming? Are they blaming the Indonesian government? Are they blaming the local company? Or are they blaming China?
So the local residents were clearly disappointed, and yeah, it can be said they were very upset with the local authorities, particularly with the police officer, because yeah, you just show us some of the video showing that the police were quite repressive to the local people. So when I met with the local people, they told me they were still traumatic, terrified with the police officers. So whenever the police car passing through their village, they just keep, okay, be careful, be careful. The police officer, they were so terrified with the police officer. Then we talked with the PP Batam chairman. Sorry, so let's back with the central government first. So the investing coordinating board in this case indicated that the central government still want to continue this project to invite Sinji Group to make some investment in the Rempang Island. But the PP Batam chairman told me that they had not enough time. They had not been given enough time to do some socialization or announcement to local people regarding this investment. So yes, the local resident did not want to be relocated. They still want to live in their house where they're supposed to be live. Even the BP Batam tried to provide kind of a subsidy or relaxation. So if you can move from your house, we will provide you with some money. We will provide you with kind of a flat room. It just kind of simply kind of a simple and modest flat room or an apartment. But this thing, it doesn't make sense for the local people because most of them are fishermen and they have a strong connection with their current place with their residents, and they cannot imagine how their lives would be if they had to live in high-rise apartment far from the coastal area. So it's kind of a cultural things that they did not want to be removed. And the most interesting part is when I asked them, do you interested to work with the Sinyi group as a worker, as a full-timer? They'd say no. They had no interest to work with the Sinyi because yeah, they prefer to be a fisherman, catching fish in the sea. And according to them, working in a factory means their freedom would be taken away. So yeah, they also said there are working hours in the factory, of course, and it's kind of a constraint for them, time constraint for them, because they have to adhere or comply with this kind of a regulation from the factory. So if they are still a fisherman, they can work whenever they want or catch as many fish as they want. So this kind of a problem, what I heard and saw with the local people.
Mm. So their anger is mostly directed towards the local government and not necessarily to China or to the Chinese company. Am I right?
Yes, accurate.
I see. So, okay, before we go further, I would like to inform you guys, do check out Leo's wonderful coverage at quartz.chinaglobalsouth.com. This is a very comprehensive report with gorgeous, very gorgeous visuals and gorgeous illustrations. So, if you want to learn more about the next big thing in critical minerals and what China is after next, I would recommend you to check out the report. Now, Leo, continuing with our conversation, in your reporting, you also made comparisons between the plan to downstream quartz and develop solar panel industry with the nickel industry and electric vehicles. Now, reflecting on our experience in nickel and with China in nickel, what are the similarities or patterns from the development of the nickel industry that you see are being repeated in the way that we are planning for quartz and development currently?
Thanks, Antonia. I really love this question because before I did the coverage with for the CGSP, I went to Morowali for nickel reporting. So of course, we do not want to see a second Morowali in Central Sulawesi. I believe all our readers, all our subscribers, all of the people do not wish the second Morowali will happen in Batam, because yes, we don't want to see any more about the factory waste polluting the sea, polluting the air, and also polluting the land. So when I saw the local workers, laborers in Morowali, they have to wear this kind of face mask. So this is already bad incident. So we do not want this kind of bad incident repeated again in Batam, because when I went in the Batam, there is no sign, no indication that or any signboard of development or construction of Sinju Group. It's still empty. It is still empty. So we can have a hope. And we don't want to, let's say Batam, our Batam neighboring with the Singapore, and we do not want Singapore file some complaint to Batam government, also Indonesia government, with this factory waste pollution. Because yeah, I saw in Morowali when the factory smoke is very heavy and very thick, polluting the air. So this kind of incident that we don't want to happen anymore. And the pattern, yes, it was very clear. First come, first serve. This is a clear pattern that we can observe both in Morowali and Batam. Yes, we must acknowledge that China is quite aggressive in exploring the business potential, particularly in the mineral sector, which is very, very crucial for accelerating the transition to renewable energy. EV electric vehicles require nickel as the main raw material for the batteries. Solar panel requires quartz sands as the primary raw material for making solar cells. But I still do some hope from for the Chinese companies. They have to comply and listen to Xi Jinping's latest remark this year on October. Hopefully they have to be greener than before whenever they doing their business operation in wherever they want to operate, Indonesia or Africa or any countries in the world. So let's hope this Chinese company should listen and comply with their leader's remark.
Mhm. And from the analysts that you talked to, is there did they tell you, is there actually a better way to build our renewable energy? Is there a much greener way? Is there a way to enforce a stricter social and environmental standards? And I guess the main question that I have here is, can Chinese investments help with all that?
Thanks, Antonia, for the tough question. So this is the last question. I hope this is kind of question that everyone want to learn something. So the first aspect involves the Chinese government is emphasizing the ESG standards, such as to provide kind of sort of a complaint mechanism for the affected communities, because we do not want the second Morowali happening again in Batam. So the local government or also the local community, they need kind of a place, a room where they can file a complaint if any investment, maybe Chinese or another country investment, if they violate kind of regulation. So the local community needs some mechanism or procedure where they can file the complaint. That's the first thing we need to address. And second thing is there must be a key performance indicators before approving or accepting investment. So it's kind of like a checklist. You should comply with this. You should do this before we say yes to Chinese environment in Chinese investment. So, furthermore, there should be a procedure for complaint mechanism. That's the first thing we need to address. And yes, still about the procedure from the sources from the analysts I talked with, they told me about there should be a clearer and more transparent complaint procedure, including community involvement to understand the environmental impact assessment. This assessment is very crucial before any factory try to build, construct, or start producing their business activities. So because often in Indonesia, this environmental impact assessment becomes just a mere formality, just a formality, serving as one of the obstacles to the approval of environmentally detrimental investment. So it may need to be regulated regarding the environmental impact assessment because very crucial. And yes, all of this we are talking about the BRI, but when the BRI or Belt and Road Initiative truly has more detailed safeguards, nah, perhaps investments that are considered to pose environmental risk and could harm Chinese reputation might be abandoned, might be should be left, might be should be not approved. So I think the Chinese company and also the Chinese government, they already think that if they do another bad things in the host country, they will think twice. Okay, this is gonna damage my reputation as company and also the government. So I believe they will be more careful to do some business. And yes, yeah, this is from the Indonesian part side that we can do, but from the Chinese government, I think there should be pressure directly from the Chinese government to regulate and oversee. Don't forget the existing companies since the BRI began. Yes, this October, the Xi Jinping remarked, okay, we should be greener, but don't forget with the existing and also the previous investment, they should change their behavior to be a greener. So I believe it's kind of a major policy of the Chinese government. Therefore, the pressure on the companies in place like Morowali or Xinyi that want to enter Rempang in Batam should also come directly. I mean, the pressure should come also directly from the central government in Beijing. So both sides, from the Indonesian government side and also from the Beijing. Yes, we are open to investment, but come on, please comply with the ESG standard. Do not harm the environment. Do not harm the social community. So I believe if this kind of measure we really consider the renewable transition energy is kind of a very yeah, I think it's very easy to achieve, and we will leave the fossil fuel fossil based fuel.
Mhm. So better safeguards and moving beyond formalities. I love it when you said that, moving beyond formalities. I think that's something that we all need to do. Thank you so much, Leo, for joining us at CGSP. Once again, I want to remind you guys to check out Leo's report at quartz.chinaglobalsouth.com. And with that, we will close our today's session. And thank you so much for being here and see you all next time.
Thank you. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.